YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy ADR back with another Torchlight Infinite video, and this one's going to be geared more toward the newer players coming into the game. However, will also be some information for some of the more veteran players that you may not have realized is going to be actually part of Torchlight Infinite. So my plan here with this video, what we're going to do, there's a lot of information that you need to just learn, digest, and understand as you're going through the game. And I kind of want to just go through a lot of the most important information, starting from like when you very first go into your character, moving into the mid game and the end game. And I'm going to try to do it in order, roughly the order that you would be encountering these things, so that it makes a lot more sense as you're going through your first couple of runs of Torchlight Infinite. We're going to be covering a multitude of different things, like super basic things, like what the different heroes are, like different leveling things that you can do during the campaign, like settings that you can do on the actual game itself, like how the auction house works, how mapping works, how bossing works, how all of these different things work so that you are not lost in the sauce when you play this game. Now, before we get into the first thing, I do want to just ask one thing. If you learned something new in this video, maybe like the video and throw a sub at the channel. I'm really happy about this. As you can tell, we finally broke 2,000 subs on the channel, and I'm super happy about that. It's been a goal for a while now, and so now we're gonna work for the next goal. We're gonna try to double it, give it to the next person. We're now working for 4,000 subs. The first 2,000 plus of you that have already subscribed to the channel, thank you. I very much appreciate it. It really helps to know like what you're doing is important to somebody, right? Because it's easy to just throw things out into the void and you're not sure. But anyway, let's hop into this. Hopefully you can learn something today. Now let's go. All right, so basic thing number one, before we even get into the game, oftentimes when you look up information about Torchlight, you're going to see veteran players referencing the characters in a certain way. You're going to see us referencing, say, Thea 1, Thea 2, or Thea 3. Or you'll see us say Carino 1, Carino 2, or Carino 3. What we're saying is these are just the codes given to the heroes based on what character it is and what their release order was. So for example, on the main menu, let's go ahead and just show you how this works. The newest character will always be top left on when you go to create a new character. So this will be the season character. They will always be top left. Moving into different characters, right here, after that, we have Rihan. We have Rihan 1, which is going to be Rihan Anger. And we have Rihan 2, which is Seething Silhouette. So this is Rihan 1, this is Rihan 2. On your character selection menu, they are always going to be in order unless it's the new character in which place they'll be up here. So as you can see, this right here, this is Thea 1, Wisdom of the Gods. This is Thea 2, Incarnation of the Gods. And then this is Thea 3. Because she's the new character, she's top left. Once she rotates out as being the new character will go here. She'll get moved right here, and then the whole line will just shift down. Now, let me just go through very quickly, and I'll just show you each one of the characters. So, Blasphemer, this is the new character from last season for season 8, which was Sandlord. This is going to be Thea 3, Rihan 1, Rihan 2, Thea 1 and 2, Carino 1, 2, and 3, Gemma 1, 2, and 3. For Erica, we've only got the 2. We have Erica 1 and Erica 2 here, followed by Bing. We have Yuga 1 right here, Yuga 2. Followed by that, we have Moto 1 and Moto 2. Rosa 1, and with the new season, we'll have Rosa 2 up here in the corner. We have Iris 1, Iris 2, and finally, Selena. Hopefully that helps clear that up and alleviate that. I know a lot of the times when you're coming into the game, you'll hear people talking about Selena 1, 2, 3, like Selena 1 or Rayhan 35, and like these numbers mean nothing to you. So hopefully that clears that up immediately before you even have to step foot into the game. Alrighty, now the next thing I think would be pretty important for you to learn early on before you really get into the meat of the game is a couple of the different settings that you're going to want to change, or that I would advise changing as you're getting your character set up when you first log into the game. As you can see, this is what the default UI is generally going to look like. This is what the default character inventory is going to look like. And when you eventually get access to it, things like the auction house will look like this, right? But what if I told you we could make this infinitely better? First and foremost, we're going to go into our settings. First, let's go into our screen settings. We're going to change the inventory style from inventory style 1 to inventory style 2. Now, when we open our inventory, we see our inventory here, but we still see our screen. And you also have the option of pausing the game or not pausing the game while you're in your inventory. This is just a change that you can make, completely up to you. You also have minimap settings for your opacity and your minimap scaling right here that you can move and change as you like. Overall screen scaling, I'm going to really suggest that you pull this down a bit because it adds more information to your screen. Now that we've pulled the overall screen scaling down, you see how much less cluttery the UI is on your screen? And also, when you do things such as the auction house, you see way more stuff. Like when we first searched, we could only see, 8 items? Now we can see all of this. Another pretty important setting is going to be your character skill, transparency, and brightness. So this is what my skill looks like right now. Thankfully with Rosa, with the skill that I'm using, this particular skill is not very screen cluttery, but skills can get very screen cluttery very, very fast. So what I would usually suggest you do is go into your settings, go into your graphic settings, and just turn this down a bit. Turn down your transparency, turn down your brightness. So you can still see it, but now you're also able to see all of the abilities that the mobs are throwing at you. One of the biggest issues I have with a lot of ARPGs right now is that there's so much extra stuff that the mobs are doing, especially like on death effects and everything. And half the time you can't see them because you can't see through your abilities. In Torchlight, you can do that. You can turn that down. You can make it more obvious what's happening to you instead of what you're doing to the mobs. One last thing I want to talk about is going to be your battle settings as well. There are settings for your skills that you can take on and off that'll change how they interact. For example, if you have a channeling skill, you can set it to auto channel. That does not mean that it'll just immediately start channeling, right? So right now, my character is standing still because I'm not channeling. Anytime you're channeling something, it'll generally try to make your character move. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the key for my hero trait because my hero trait is a channeled ability right now. Because I have auto channeling turned on, once I press the hero trait, it's now channeling, and also my character is moving, and I can just guide her with the mouse. This is going to be a thing that you can do for most channeling skills, not all, but most channeling skills. You're going to want to go into that battle setting and get that ticked on. Also, there's some stuff that you can turn on auto aim or auto immediate casts. So just mess around with your skill settings as you get new skills to see how you prefer to have them set up. And then of course there's extra stuff in here that you can also do, like changing like the buff bars that you see or you don't see in the top left, and all kinds of stuff like that. If you have advanced loot, last thing in the settings, if you have advanced loot, you definitely want to go in here and make sure that it is turned on. You can turn that on and off right there in the loot section. Alrighty, now as you're going through the game, you're really going to want to follow the main story quest a bit, which is going to be this one right here. Like the extra like blue quests and like the little side quests, you don't have to really focus on that much. The main story quest is what you're going to be going through, following through the campaign. If you ever get lost or you're not sure quite where you should go, just come over here to this quest marker right here, click on it, and it'll give you a trail that'll lead you in the direction of where you need to be going. Alrighty, next thing we're going to talk about are treasure troves. As you're going through the campaign, you're going to notice these little golden teleporters right here, and they say enter treasure trove. There will be a total of 6 of these. There will be 2 in Act 1, 2 in Act 2, and 2 in Act 3. When you go up to the treasure trove and you first click it, it will pull up this menu right here. When you first clear the treasure trove, you get a talent point for your character. So you do want to clear all 6 of them. And then there will be 2 sets of drop pools that you can get in each of your treasure troves. The top is going to be your character specific drops for that particular treasure trove. So for Rosa 1, for example, in this treasure trove, I can potentially get the Born and Fire ring, or I can get the Desire for Survival belt. Those are going to be the character exclusives on the top. And then the ones on the bottom, these are going to be very rare drops. So you're probably not going to see these. But these are going to be static drops that could potentially drop for every character. So for this treasure trove, it would be the Lone Survivor ring, Pentagram Astrolabe, and the Lonesome ring. When you go in, you're going to hit the teleport button and it'll take you into the zone. Once you get in here, you're just going to go in, you're going to go through the zone. You're going to want to kill as much as you can kill. You get a ton of experience going through these zones. And eventually, if you kill a lot when you're resetting and you're going through here a couple of times, you'll notice that eventually you'll get a message when you go in, like I did, saying that your level is too high and that you're going to be getting a reduced experience. What I would generally suggest, if you're a little bit comfortable doing it, or if you're a little bit more familiar with the game, is that typically what I would do is I'll just like book it through the campaign, only killing as much as I need to get through the zone safely, and then I will just run my treasure vaults on repeat because they're very dense. They're very good places to earn your XP. On top of which, there are some items that you're going to want to farm out of here just for like getting your character start up originally, and sometimes they don't drop the first or second time that you go through. So come in, you kill the boss. You'll get at least 1 guaranteed legendary item off of the boss every single time that you kill it, based off of that pool of items, and then you can get extras on top of that. And then once you do that, the gold portal will let you repeat the zone. The red portal will let you exit the zone. So if we take the red portal, we can leave the zone. Do note, if you leave the zone and then try to go back in because you accidentally wanted to, like, let's say you wanted to rerun it, but you went through the wrong portal. If you leave the zone, make sure when you click on this, you click on reset stage. If you don't click on reset stage and you just go back in, it's going to take you into the already cleared zone. And then you're going to have to run all the way to the end to get, so just make sure if you go through the red portal and you want to go back in, you press reset. Otherwise you'll hit this. All right. So this is the zone that we've already cleared. The minimap's already revealed, yada, yada, yada. Now, generally for your hero trait, you'll get your very first hero trait. You'll get access to this. It'll unlock automatically as you're progressing through Act 1. But to get further hero traits, you're going to need to get hero memories. These unlock at specific levels, with the final one being at level 75. So how do you get hero memories? The very first hero memory that you find is generally going to come out of your final treasure vault. So the treasure vault that we just spoke of, the very final one tends to always drop your first hero memory. It's possible to get it beforehand, but not likely. So this is the final treasure vault that everybody gets. Again, I got that message because I'm way too high level to be in here technically. But let's just run to the boss really quickly. And I will go ahead and kill the boss, and you'll see that a hero memory will drop. All right, here is the boss. Boom, boss dead. There is our guaranteed unique because this is a treasure vault. And then here is our memory of origin. Once you get the memory, all you have to do is click install. It'll pull up this menu, and then you can then click the hero memory location and select your memory. Afterwards, you'll be able to freely choose between, if you've only got one choice, you'll just click that choice. But you'll also be able to just freely choose between whichever one you want to pick. You have to do this while you're in town, however. You can't change your stuff. You can't change your hero traits while you're out of town. Also, since we're on the topic of hero memories do come in rarities, with higher rarities having better bases. They'll have fixed stats, and then they'll have secondary random stats that you can go in and roll. And you do level these items up. The way that you level them up is going to be with things such as this right here. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to recycle it because I don't need it. and I'll get a memory thread. You'll use memory threads and memory threads and scraps to level up your hero memories. You'll be getting majority of those once you get into mapping and start interacting with the different systems. One final thing in regard to that last treasure vault, once you get there, what I would generally suggest doing in the final treasure vault is farming that until your character gets to level 60 and then progressing. After you do the once you've gotten to the treasure vault, you're basically done with the campaign. You've got like one more boss fight to do, and then you're back to town and you're ready to start your mapping adventures. All right, so you've made it through the campaign. You've done all your treasure vaults. You've got your first hero memory. You've got your second hero memory you've got your first hero memory dropped. You've got 2 of your hero traits. You've cleared the campaign. You're in the Hound. What do you do now? Well, now we're gonna start progressing your mapping. This man right here, Zach the Hunter, is gonna be your absolute best friend. To map in this game, once you've talked to him and gotten your quest line started, you simply come up here to the map device, you interact with this, and you'll see you can freely switch between time marks as you unlock them. Of course, you will start at time mark 1. Time mark 1 only has the Glacial Abyss zone unlocked. To progress to time mark 2, you're gonna have to clear enough of the zones to get Watcher entries. Once you have the Star Shards, which are going to be your entry to the Watcher boss, you can go in, fight the boss, and once you've done so, you'll be able to change this and go to the next tier. Now, when we go to time mark 2, you'll see we have the Glacial Abyss zone unlocked and we have Blistering Lava unlocked. To unlock the 3rd zone, you're going to have to clear both of these Watchers. So you can't just clear this one, you've got to clear this one and this one. When you go up to time mark 3, to unlock time mark 4, you're going to have to clear 1, 2, and 3 Watchers. When you're in the Nether Realm, once you've gone into a zone, you'll see the different maps that are going to be available. As you progress your time marks to higher difficulties, you'll start getting more and more maps shown in the zones. So for example, if I show you on time mark 1, this is how many maps you have in Glacial Abyss. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 maps in the Glacial Abyss zone. However, once you get this up to, let's say, time mark 8, you notice there's a lot more different maps that you can go through. Now, what are these cards on the maps? You see these cards on the maps? These are going to be pretty important. So when you first go into a new zone, you'll have a couple of different cards that you'll probably see. If you click the card, it'll tell you a couple of things. Number 1, anytime you take you're running a zone that has one of these cards, it will have 100% additional drop quantity, which means just by taking the card and going to a zone with the card, you're inherently just automatically doubling your drops. There are some strategies such as boss rushing where you'll just ignore that and you don't care about it. But by and large, if you're just doing general mapping, you typically want to be chasing cards. Cards will also have a separate special effect based on the card. So this one, it will replace magic monsters in the zone with a special type of mob that has a chance to drop an item called an Ember. You'll see it says attempts 3 of 4. So when you first load in, you'll have multiple different ones that you can choose from. Typically, there are things that can change that and then you won't have multiple, but by and large, you'll have multiple that you can choose from. So let me go back to time mark 1 just because I think I have. Let me clear this real quick and then I'll show you what a fresh board looks like. Alrighty, and that is the boss down. Let me show you what a fresh board looks like once you finish doing that, your set of cards. So you'll go into your zone and you'll have a card here and then you'll have some cards here, some cards there. But this right here, this is what it'll look like before. You'll have a couple of cards. This zone only has 1 card right now. And you'll see this one has 2 stars, for example. The one that I showed previously on time mark 8 had 4 stars. That's just the number of attempts. Once you select a card, once you select this and run this, all of the other cards will go away. So it's a choice that you're gonna have to make. You'll take you select your card, you go in, and then once you run this map, this card will move to a different map. And once you've completed all of the attempts on that card, then it will rotate to a new set of cards for you to choose from. If you fail the map, you'll have to go through and retry it to get this card to clear out. On your mapping, you can also add effects to your maps using something called Netherrealm Resonance. Okay, so we go into the map, we hit next. Right here is where we will be able to put in compasses, which are modifiers to your maps that you'll find, and you can you use these for different strategies. Don't just throw these in willy-nilly. And then this is how you add modifiers to your maps. Adding modifiers increases your drop quantity. So we go 1, 2, 3. If I don't like this, I can click this button, but notice there's a limited number of times that I can click this button. So if I don't like these modifiers, boom, reset it, try again. Don't like it, boom, reset, try again. Now, here's the thing. If I click this again, you will not be able to add affixes after this reset. So once you do this, if you run out of this, you have to run a map to open this up again. Once you run a map, this will reset and you'll get your attempts back. So just be aware of that. Also, just in general, your Netherrealm Resonance, I would not suggest using this until you're in time mark 8. On your Atlas tree, in one of the earliest trees, you'll get access to these nodes here, which give you a chance to drop Netherrealm Resonance off of bosses. I highly, highly, highly suggest that you take those nodes super, super early into your mapping, because not only do you need to stockpile Netherrealm Resonance for later game mapping, it's also important for just your general map progression because of, guess what? Our best friend, Zach the Hunter. This is also the trader. If you go in here into the trading option, let me pull up his menu. So you've got Trader, Great Void, and Cradle of Renewal. We're worried about the trader portion of him right now. So this is where you can come in, you can exchange different things, but the beacon shop is the big one. If you ever find yourself not having beacons, you can come in and you can trade Netherrealm Resonance for the different beacons. Now, these are not all available all at once. They unlock at like specific levels, and you can buy up to time mark 7 beacons, which is really, really good for your progression. If you ever find yourself stuck, or you're not ready to go to a different tier and you just need more maps, you can just come over here, buy beacons. There is no limit to how many of these beacons you can buy from the trader. Also, one final thing to note in regard to the mapping device, if you see these little ticks right here, these are not just random things on the map device. These are not cosmetic. These actually have a purpose. This is the number of portals that you have left on your map. So if I go into the map right now, you see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go into the map and come out, and you'll see that'll go down to 4. So it's just a nice visual representation of how many entries you have left into your map. As you can see, that one is now gone. If we go in one more time, this one right here will go away. So we'll only have 3 more entries left in the map. All right, so now for the void chart. If you're familiar with Path of Exile, this is going to be your Atlas tree. So as you are progressing your character, you will begin to unlock these different nodes for your Atlas. You do not have access to all of these at once. Better yet, let me hop over to a lower level character that's not progressed. That way you can see what this looks like on a fresh character. All right, so I popped over to my European account just because your void chart is going to be unlocked for all of your characters. So I had to hop over to a different server. But this is what the void chart looks like for a fresh character that's not really done much progressing, right? So I've not really progressed much. I've only got access to these 4 trees. And then as you progress through the tiers of time mark, the rest of this will begin to unlock. One of the things that I really want to stress is there are some resources that you're really going to need early. So I highly suggest that you spec for those first. And then once you're ready for it, you can try to come up with a strategy that you like based on the content that you like running, or look for a strategy from a content creator or from the Endgame help menu, which I'll go over here in a moment to use. But early on, what I would really suggest you do is you get your Netherrealm Resonance, you get your Flame Sand, and then you get your Embers. These 3 trees over here, this is going to be what you use to progress and buy beacons. And then the Embers and the Flame Sand are what you're going to use to craft your early game items. All of these are very important resources. You're going to need a ton of them. I would definitely highly suggest that you take these as soon as possible. Now, for the actual points, you can come up here and you can click this top menu and see how many points there are total, how many you have, and how many you're missing, right? So you can get from Glacial Abyss, which is zone 1, there's 18 total points. The Path of Progression, which we'll get to in just a moment, has 20 points available in it. And then you also have Prime Star talent points. You have 4 of these. You get 2 for defeating the big boss, the Watcher, the Realm Lord, at time mark level 7, and you get another 2 when you clear this on time mark level 8. Okay, but you're probably asking, what is the Traveler and how do you get into it? Well, that's going to be pretty simple. Once you're at time mark 7 or above, anytime you fight one of these zone bosses, which are the Watchers, you're going to drop a specific item, which is going to be an entry fee or an entry token into the boss. Alrighty, so that is the Watcher down. And this is what the loot looks like. So there's a couple of things you'll get when you go through a Watcher. Anytime you kill a Watcher, you will get at least 1 beacon of the tier above. So I just killed a time mark 7 Watcher, so I got at least 1 time mark 8 beacon. But we also get this item here from the 7, which is called the Beginning. To fight the level 7 Traveler, you need 4 of these items. So once I go back in, if I click on the Realm Lord, you see it says 1 of 4. Once you've collected 4 of these, you can collect it 4 from the same boss, from 4 different bosses, it doesn't matter. You'll then be eligible to go in and fight the Traveler. To fight Traveler 7 on the in-town dummy, I would suggest that you have at least 100 million DPS. But for a more comfortable fight, I'd probably suggest somewhere around 2 million or 200 million. And you can just test that over on the dummy right here. So you can come over to the dummy at any time in town, click on, I would just suggest clicking on the level 85 dummy, and then you can just smack the dummy and you can see what your actual damage is. Now, speaking of the Traveler, there is something that you should be aware of. Anytime any character, any brand new character that you make, your first character, your 5th character, the first time that they kill Traveler 7 and they kill Traveler 8, Zach will have a quest for them as long as you've progressed the story, your main quest line enough. As long as you have the quest available that says for you to defeat the Watcher at XYZ level, when you do that, you can come over to Zach and you'll be able to get a free Pedigree of the Gods. So there's our free Pedigree. This was a pretty bad Pedigree, but you can get some really amazing pedigrees and they sell for a ton of money. Potentially, if you get a really good pedigree, it could really just set you up for a very great start at the beginning of a season. Or you could get a bad one and it could be actual vendor trash. How do you find that out? Well, let's talk about the auction house and how to do things like price checking and do all those fun things. So here is our pedigree. How much is it worth, you wonder? Well, we click this nifty little price check button and we can go in. What we care about on a pedigree is mainly going to be the core talent, which is going to be this down here. So we're going to go in, we're going to click that, and we're going to price check. And that's how much great strength by itself is on a pedigree. If you want to go in and look at the specifics, you can then do a trade search, and it'll bring up the full auction house menu with that trade already prepared. You hit search, and then you can go through and see everything that's going on in here. Okay, but let's say you want to buy something, but you don't have a lot of money. Come down here, put in a price filter. So let's say you only want to spend 45 FE, Flame Elementium, on something. Well, there you go. Now you've put in a price filter. And if you can find something at that price, you'll be able, it'll be highlighted. So let's put in a price filter of, say, 600 so you can see what it looks like. So anything highlighted is going to be within our price limit. Also, when you're buying things that are make sure that you're aware that this is going to be a unit price and this is a total price. So if you're buying things that are in bulk, I would suggest specifically doing like 0.25 for 0.025, for example. Just make sure that you're looking for the correct number. Oftentimes, especially bulk items, people will try to list for some kind of scummy prices to try to trick people. So just be aware that especially when you're looking for things that come in large stack sizes, that you're using this to filter properly. Anytime you want to go buy a commodity, you can always price check it before you go purchase it. And then when you want to list an item, let's say I want to sell these winding keys here, I can hit the price check button and then I can list item. It'll pull up this menu here. What you want to do is hit price check again. That'll pull up the price check right here. And then you can simply click on these and it'll automatically set your items to post at the best ratio, as the closest ratio it can to the price that you're clicking. So I've got 31, for example. It doesn't cleanly round to 0.3, but it rounded it to 0.29. If I want to go even higher, for example, say I want to post them for 0.4, it can't do a clean 0.4 because of the amount that I have, but it can get close at 0.39. And so you'll see this will automatically just change the price, and then you just hit for sale. When you're going through the auction house, if you find something that you want to purchase, but you're not quite able to afford it right now, what you can do is you can click on this little square, this little star sign up here, and that will favorite the item and it will add it to your collection. So I favorited these 3 items. I can now go to the My Collection tab over here, and those items will be there. If they get sold or delisted, they will still show up here for a while, but they will be grayed out so that you'll know that they are no longer available. You can go here to see your specific history. You also go to this tab to collect anything that you sell or you purchase. Your booth is where you will actually where you actually have everything set up and what you're going to be selling. And then let's talk about taxes for a bit. So the way that the auction house works, the first 200 flame elementium that you make on the auction house will be completely tax-free. Afterward, every 8 flame elementium that you earn, 1 will be deducted as a tax. There is a way to get this back, although it is going to be a limited amount, but you can, throughout your gameplay, get access to, do I have any on this character? I don't. Throughout your gameplay, you'll be able to get access to these right here called Jonah tax vouchers. What you can do is you can trade these in to get some of your flame elementium back from the tax man. You're not going to get like thousands upon thousands of these, but they can be a nice little boon that you can get while going through the game. The boss conquest that I have clicked here gives a ton of them, for example, while you're progressing through that. Alrighty. Now, when we were talking about the Atlas earlier and the void chart and how to get your points, I did mention something called the path of progression. That's going to be this sign right here. So you click this, it'll pull up your path of progression. You'll actually start clearing some of the earlier portions of this out super early in the campaign. So like clear chapter 1, you get a talent point, clear chapter 2, you get a talent point, etc., etc. But later in the game, you start getting your star talent points. And there's also like all kinds of bonuses that you can get. Like you can get jagged primos for pulling on banners. You can get revival tokens. You can get elixirs of oblivion for completing the different phases. And this path of progression, you'll be doing and completing path of progression the entire time that you're playing the game. As you can see, I finished my season. I didn't even fully complete my path of progression. Also, I'm a little lazy. I tend to forget to double check my path of progression. It's worth just coming in here and making sure that you've gotten things done. So let's say I was on phase 2 and I hadn't done this one right here yet. Everything past phase 2 that I had done would be retroactive. So once I complete this, everything that I've done here and farther would already be accounted for. But just come into your path of progression every now and then, see, like, especially if you've not progressed it in a while, just double check where you are. Because oftentimes it'll be something super silly that you just didn't do, just as a matter of fact. And you'll do that one thing and you'll unlock like 4 more pages. So just make sure that you're coming in here. You can always click up here to see what you do have and what you don't have, what you're missing, and etc. You get like an XP earned here. You can get drop quantity. You get additional ember and flame fuel. Like you really, really, really want to be focusing on your path of progression and clearing as much of it as you can. Don't be me. Do your path of progression. It's really, really important. As you're playing the game and as you're mapping, you're going to come across these cards here. These are called fluorescent memories. And when you have full stacks of fluorescent memories, you can come over here to the space-time wanderer and you'll hit memory decryption. You can hit store all and there's a limit to how many it can do at a time, but it'll place the full stacks that you have in here. You hit confirm, you turn those cards in and you'll get the specified reward. All right, now this is going to be super important. Once you start progressing, you may need to start crafting some gear, and crafting gear is going to be a big part of what you do for your character power. Early game, Item level 82 to 85 will be able to roll up to tier 2 modifiers. Item level 86 and above will be able to roll T1 modifiers. And then if you have a item level 100 item, which is called a priceless item, that is what will allow you to roll the best mods, which are the ultimate affixes. When you want to craft something, you'll need the specified items. So for example, for T2, you're going to need flame sand, and then you're going to need either a precious ember or a matchless ember. When you're crafting your gear, be sure that you know how many affixes of something that you can have. So for example, an item can only at most have 2 ultimate affixes, and at most can only have 2 advanced affixes. However, you can have as many basic affixes as you can fit on the item. When you want to craft and when you want to go in here to craft, you can just select the slot that you want to craft. You can do it manually by hitting the craft button, and then if you don't like it, you just craft again. This does consume resources. Or you can just auto craft it and then just come in and select, okay, I want like T2 life, I want T2 damage, and then you just auto craft it and it'll go. And then you can come down here. Once you get this one, if you click on another one, it'll remember what you've already got selected. And so you can just auto craft again and then let the game do that for you, just to save you some, just to save you some clicks, you know, preserve the wrists. ARPGs tend to not be wrist friendly. So that's always a very nice option. Once you move into T1 affixes, you'll no longer use flame sand, and instead you'll be using flame elementium, which is much more expensive to craft with. Once you move into tier 1 modifiers, you'll start using flame elementium instead of flame sand to craft. And then ultimate affixes, you'll need even further things such as ultimate embers and things of that nature. So as you step up in modifier tier, the cost of the actual cost of just crafting the item and rolling your mods will begin to get more and more expensive. So just make sure that you're aware of that. Don't try to jump into T1 mods before you're ready, because it can take a lot of flame elementium to actually be able to craft out your gear. Get your T2 gear crafted once you're able to do so, and then progressively start working on your T1 modifiers after that. In regard to gear, if you find a good piece of gear that you really want to use, but it has bad energy, you can come over to Mod, the arms dealer, and do gear empowerment. This will allow you to take an item and place it in, and then you can use these energy cores to try to roll the energy to a higher value. If you ever hit the maximum amount on the item, the refine button will be grayed out. So for example, if I just keep clicking this until we hit 61, once it actually hits 61, you can't roll over that. Now, outside of mapping, there is a lot of non-map content that you have available to you. And those the characters that'll let you enter into those zones are generally spread throughout the zone. So for example, the frozen canvas snow paint owl, all hail the owl, is going to be right here. These do get moved, so just walk around. You can see their name and what they do. So this is the Mistville Trader. This is the Candlelight Lady for Eterna. And they'll just be scattered throughout the zone. You'll have to find them. But once you figure out where they are for the season, they don't move. They just move them. They shuffle them around as they add more into the game. Also, in regard to non-mapping content, if you ever get a boss entry and you want to figure out where to go to actually use that boss entry, we're going to go back to Zach the Hunter, our best friend, yet again, and go to the Great Void. The Great Void will have all of your outside of map boss content for the most part. And if you have you can just click on it. If you've got the entry, you can place it in and go into your fight. And then if you want to see what a specific boss drops, you can just go into the Great Void. You can click on that boss and click this up here. There are 3 tiers to the bosses, and each tier will have more and more that it can drop. So for example, T1, you have to fight T1 to get part of the entry to go into T2. You have to fight T2 to get the entry to go into T3. And as you can see, like the Ice Drinker's Cage is specific to only T2. Many of these bosses will have a drop that you can only get if you're farming at least the Time Mark II version of the fight. So for example, the Troublemaker, you can only get this if you're fighting the T2 version. The Mare Eternity, you can only get if you're fighting at least the T2 version of the fight. Alrighty, everybody, we're almost done with everything that I wanted to cover in this video. There's just a couple of more things that I really want to get through for you. The first thing is going to be your loot filter. You go over to drop filter, and there are 3 basic filters that the game includes: the junior, the intermediate, and the advanced filters. And then you can also get filters that other people have created. You can also go to recommendations and you'll be able to find those. And then you can also favorite filters and they'll show up in your collections here. You just press the star button when you go into a filter and it will favorite it. And that will now be found in your collection for you to apply if you'd like to. My suggestion would be, once you start mapping, turn on the junior filter. Once you have your T2 items crafted, turn on the intermediate filter. And then once you're like once you push into time mark 8, and once you don't like need to find if you don't need to find any like T1 bases to craft on, I would turn on the advanced filter. Maybe once you start moving into profound, that's a pretty solid choice. So again, junior filter when you start mapping, intermediate filter once you've got your T2 items crafted out, and then the advanced filter once you get to profound. That would be my general suggestion in regard to a loot filter. Let's also talk about build codes and how you use them, how you get them, how you can get other builds, and how you can follow a build if you'd like to. On the menu, we have the pro builds option. There's going to be 2 tabs within here. One is going to be your quick builds, one is going to be your quick loot. Going into the quick builds section, we can see it will show us build references based on the character that we're currently using. You can also look for different creators. If you find a creator, or if you find somebody's build code, you can follow them. If you follow them, you'll be able to see all kinds of, you'll be able to see anything that that person puts up. So it'll come right here under your collection. You go to follows, and then you'll be able to see any build code that they put up publicly. Sometimes these build codes will also have links to guides or videos. For example, generally whenever I put something up, if it's like the very first snapshot, like for example this one right here, you'll be able to see everything that's going on with the character. You'll be able to see the gear, the skill choices, how everything is set up. You can see all of the candles. You can see the pets that we're using. You can see our talent choices and our slates. You can see the hero trait selections and everything. You can see literally everything about the character, so long as it is public. One thing that you can do while you're inside of this menu, if you find a build that you really like, you can star it here, and that will add that build to your collections in the collected tab. So that now shows up here. And also what you can do is you can go in and you can hit apply all. And what that will do is that will apply that to your character. So now if I go into my talents, you'll see that there are certain things that are outlined in green. That is showing you how to follow the build that you applied to your character. So it'll show you, it'll highlight everything you need to take. So if you need to take a specific core talent, that will be highlighted. So as you can see, Beacon is now highlighted here. When you're out here and you go to select your, when you're in this menu, and if you haven't selected these yet, it will also highlight those. It'll highlight basically everything. Also on your skills, it will also highlight those. So if I go into my active skill, it'll highlight that it wants me to be using Ring of Ice. And then if I go here, it'll show me exactly what support they had in that slot. Also, in regard to quick builds, you can also go to quick loot. This is how you'll be able to follow creators. You can do that. You can follow creators and follow collections exactly the same as you can with quick builds, except this is going to be for your, you can also follow people's Atlas strategies and apply those as well. So for example, if I go here, you can go in, you can see exactly how the talent tree is set up. Sometimes you can see the pack spirit if they have that set up. And then you can also recommend compasses that you should be using for the strategy. There's the build code right there. If you ever want to know how to make a build code, by the way, oftentimes if you're looking for help with a build, you need to make a build. Somebody will often ask you for a build code, or like if you ask me for assistance with your build, I'm going to ask you for a build code. This is how you make a build code. In Pro Builds, you're going to go to Quick Builds. You will go to My Creations. You're going to create a build, create build, name it whatever you want to name it, and hit confirm. Once that has been created, you can go into that, share your build code, hit copy, and then just simply paste it as is. And that will be the build code for what you've created. And that will allow people to then take said code, come back into Pro Builds, and then enter the build code right here. And you can pull up and see the build as it stands. So if you're ever offered a build code, if you're following one of my build guides and I have a build code there, you can just take that build code, copy it right in here to the enter build section, hit view build, and it will pull it right up for you. And I think that about wraps it up for the things that I think are like super important and like you're really going to want to know going through the game for your first time or your first couple of times. If you've got any questions about anything that I talked about in this video or anything that I did not talk about in this video, feel free to either leave a comment down below and I will answer it as soon as I'm available, or you can hop into the Discord channel, which is linked down in the description. Drop a comment, drop a question. Feel free to tag me if you need to. I reply to these things as I see them throughout the day. Of course, I am always working and like either working on Torchlight stuff or working on like my actual job stuff, like family stuff. But as long as I've got the time to give you an answer, I will give you an answer. And if I don't have the time, I will try to make the time. So if you've got any questions or any other things that you want to know about, please let me know. And if you enjoyed the video and made it this far, please drop a sub on the channel and maybe drop a comment and tell me what it was that you learned about the video from the video. Thank you all for making it this far. I hope you have a fantastic season start to Outlaw. I've still got more videos to put out for you, so be looking out for that. And with that, I'm going to call it wraps. Bye-bye, everybody.